For those people watching, you know, Larry's not hitting a lot of aces, but he's got a pretty high percentage of first serves, and it's a good deep serve. It's tough to do much with it.
So Paul's got to change sides here, down love 3 probably. And either he's going to just kind of mentally go, well, there's not much I can do.
Well, what I'd like to see,
or
I'd like to see him, if that's the case, I'd like to see him. It's a great get. I mean,
so if you had a chance to go down on the court right now with him and coach him, what would you tell him to do?
I'd tell him he's playing his tail off and he's playing well and he's not quitting, and I really admire that, but he's got to do something a little different. He's down 6-2-3 love, and just exchanging ground strokes is not doing the job. And I think I might tell him to maybe serve up the tee or approach up the tee and take Larry's. Tall guys like to stretch out.
Right.
You've seen Larry today off both sides. When he's pulled out wide, he's been pretty effective.
Right.
So I think I would suggest going up the middle and come in. If Larry can pass off that, great. Or maybe some high looping balls.
Right.
And then sneak in off of
right.
that. But I'm not always good at it myself, so it's very easy to sit here and tell somebody else what they should be doing. But I think at this point, I think you'd agree that he needs to do something different. But it's not easy to do it. I mean,
well, it's tough because you always have in the back of your mind, you know what, maybe it's just about to, you know, it's just about to come out where I'm going to really start playing well. And, you know, the reality is that you lose more of those matches by doing that than you know, ever have a chance. I mean, I think I've had some matches where I've said, you know what, I'm just going to stay back. I'm going to stay back, and I kind of, you know, I don't literally look at the watch or the clock, but I say, next 10 minutes, I'm staying back. And just let's see what happens. And sometimes that kind of breaks the...
And that's a good point, you know, because he is in every point in every game, and so he may be thinking, I'm just this much of Larry's not giving me free points.
No.
And if you know, we all are streaky a little bit, and if he thinks, hey, if I can get a little break here or there and get back to 3-2, so that's a good point.
But I think the reality is you got to find a different way to lose this match other than this way right here.
But the thing I tell Paul is I feel like he's playing good tennis.
Right.
You know, I mean, if he were to lose this match, if he continues, he's going to say, God. But I think he's playing well. Look at that.
Okay, called wide.
I like that play. You got a short ball, attack the back end, and get in. Gee, man. And that's a little frustrating.
That's got to be rough.
That's a great shot by
You're just glad that you won the first point.
Yeah.
And then you hit a good first serve. And the guy just carves you up down the line. Yeah, I looked at the height of this. It's supposed to be 93.
How about Thursday? Can you play Thursday?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a maybe?
Yes. No. It's a definite.
Yeah, you got to come out and hang out with us.
I'd like to.
You got to bring your lady friend. We'll get 11 o'clock. We have a court.
Okay.
Is this guy beatable at all? Not by any of these guys. You know why? You know why he's not beatable? His technique is too good. You know, Bolletary won't talk to anybody until he sees them hit. He has to look at their technique, and if their technique's okay, he'll let them go. You think he'll win a game?
Yeah. 540. Yeah.
Is it 540 now?
30-40, yeah.
How, you going back tomorrow?
I'm going back.
Okay, that's 4.
So what's Thursday? That's fine. I'm going to be gone for 3 days working, so.
5 errors the whole match.
That's what he doesn't do. Yes, you got to force him to make an error. Nice.
Oh man. When he starts hitting over his backhand passing shots, you know he's pretty confident.
6-2, 4 love is pretty
Yeah.
It's a good approach.
Good approach.
But that's what you got to do to win a point. I mean, you got to approach, you got to hope for a lucky let cord that sets up the approach shot for you. And then you got to make sure that you don't
But the
go.
thing is Paul has the tools to do that. I mean, he hits good approaches.
He does.
He's got a serve. He can, you know, you know, I almost think you have to have that John McEnroe mentality. McEnroe used to say, nobody gets past more than me. That's because I come in more than anybody.
Right.
And, you know, I think Paul has come in a couple times, gotten past, maybe
Got
he's a
a
little hesitant to do it.
get a little gun shy to keep
I still
right.
think that's the thing he's got to do. But I do think these courts make it a little tougher.
I think there's no question, but I thought you brought up a good point earlier about why not just approach right at him? And, you know, in theory, you sort of cut down the angles. Who knows? But that might be a better play rather than letting that ball kind of sit a little bit because the court is sticky.
Yeah.
Is
and
to
you see Larry moves well to the ball.
right. It's a big serve.
Yeah.
Big, just big. Speed-wise, not that big, but it gets up.
Doesn't seem like he's getting a lot of first serves.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the percentage would be, but it just. And you know this. You get that first serve, and it just exudes confidence to the rest of your game.
That's right.
You know, when you start. Boy, serving well. And again, it's kind of like
it's like a little three-quarter.
It doesn't look like he's hitting it that hard, but it's got some pop.
Well, this court probably helps on that too. Grabs the ball and helps it kind of jump up and. So someone just walked by and said, "Geez, how do you beat this Larry Turville?" And I said, "Well, maybe you got to do the Tanya Harding thing on the game change or the side change." But I mean, you've played him a bunch of times, haven't you?
I have.
And what have you done when you've had success against
when
him?
I've beaten him, actually, I mean, for me to beat him on clay is tough. I did beat him in the finals of the National Clay Courts about 3 years ago. And I was playing with a lot of confidence that year, and I was serving well, and I attacked him. I was able to attack off my serve.
So even though you're on a clay court, you were...
Even though I was on a clay court, I attacked, and he had an off day, and I've beaten him indoors. I've lost him indoors. I mean, the guy's good, but he's not unbeatable. Nobody's unbeatable.
Sure.
But,
there's a volley. There's a volley.
Yeah,
Little serve and volley.
Yeah. But I tell you, it seems like right now he's playing with a lot of confidence. I've played him twice this winter and lost to him both times on clay, and I felt like I played pretty well both times. I didn't serve well, so I didn't have anything to really attack off of. But he just plays a lot of confidence right now, you know.
So, Phil, when you talk about serving well, for you, does that mean a high percentage, or does that mean hitting spots and not giving the returner a...
Serve, but I'm pretty good at hitting spots, and I'll
Right.
get a share ace. It's just, but if you're missing a lot of first serves or not hitting those spots, you know, my serve isn't big enough to push him off,
right.
Get him off balance at all.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think sometimes we put pressure on ourselves to serve big as opposed to high percentage to certain spots.
I agree. It's a great
There you go. There you go.
Great volley, Paul.
Finally serving volley, right?
Yeah, Paul's comment to us right there was, you know, finally serving and volleying is what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it shortens the points.
But I mean, it does put a little pressure on Larry to come up with a really a better high quality return.
You have to hit a passing shot every point. Look at that.
There's an ace. Yeah. So, you know, and the serve technique improves when you're moving forward. And
right. Videos and things that you're doing. How long have you been doing that?
Well, you know, I got the domain WebTennis. Actually, I got WebTennis.net in 1999, and just was kind of tinkering around with what I wanted to do with it. I was still teaching full time at that point. Then I got WebTennis.com. Bought it from some guy in South America about 5 years later, yeah, you know, really started going full time almost 6 years ago. You know, I was over at the Cal Club in San Francisco. There's a good shot. And I just did I'd sort of built it up in off hours when I was at home and got it to a point where I said, you know what, if I did this full time, I think I could at least replace my income as a tennis professional and tennis director at a club. And it took about a year and that happened. So well, I really enjoy it.
And I really compliment you. It's plain vanilla. It's simple stuff that you know, guys. I think certainly senior tennis players from age 35 on up can really learn a lot from it. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, you know, I was lucky too. I got with Tom Stowe. I don't know about around the country, but in Northern California.
I know Tom Stowe is Berkeley Tennis Club.
Berkeley Tennis Club.
Everybody.
You know, he had Don Budge, and you know, back in the day, and he had some good players. But I got him just before he passed away, 1980, 81, and he basically just stripped away all of the flair and what he called, that's really artificial. He would look at like a racket setup and go, you know what, that's just artificial. You just don't need it.
Right.
And so I was fortunate to work with him for a couple of years. And then more recently I've been on the court with Michael Wayman. You know, Michael from Great Britain.
Yeah, I remember.
Played in the tour and had some really big wins, and you know, a little guy who just has that bulldog type of mindset, and he's the same way in terms of technique, very fundamentals. And if you're straying away from the fundamentals, you're just hurting yourself.
Well, you know, one of the things that I see at these senior events, and I think you have to be careful. I'm all for making adjustments and adding to your game, improvement. I think that's you should be. But I don't think you should go to a tournament and see a good player and say, I got to change everything I do because he hits a semi-Western forehand.
Right.
You know, and I think guys new to the tournament scene need to be careful of that they don't get somebody that just totally takes the game totally apart and just. Because then that sets them back 2 or 3 years, and then you get discouraged and they end up playing golf or something else. I think you got to kind of build on what you have and then go from there.
I think we've arrived at match point.
Yes, we have. Paul's had a great tournament, you know, and it could be, you know, he's had to beat a lot of good players. Doug Ruffin, Cheney, and all these guys. Could be that it's taking its toll on him.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
I like that play.
Nah, that's too bad. Like that's a great play.
Great match.
Yeah, good match.
Paul did not play poorly. Yeah.
No, I thought he.
I think Larry just played well.
Okay. So Phil, thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
I really, really appreciate this, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Okay.
That was good, man. Thank you.
Probably make me look thin on screen.
I do have some software for that, so. Hey, thanks again.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, only first game.
Well, you do a couple backhands, man.
Couple toppers.
So Larry, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. We had the great Phil Landauer doing the color.
Mm-hmm.
And
too bad it wasn't baseball. He would have really been good.
And the one thing we kept asking each other is what, you know, what's got to change here? And we just couldn't really come up with anything other than maybe some server volley or something like that that he could do. But
well, I don't want to give away, you know, but actually, I think his first serve percentage was probably a little down.
It was low, and we were talking about it.
I mentioned that. I said, you know, when I played you, if you don't hit a pretty good percentage of first serves, then it's very tough to attack you because you're keeping the ball so deep.
Yeah.
And then you end up hitting a short ball, and then you bop the forehand, get the guy on the run, and then, you know, it's hard to attack you then.
Yeah, I didn't feel like, you know, funny in the warm up he hit like 5 balls right on the line down the tee.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm going, uh-oh, man, if he can hit that all day, I'm in trouble.
This could be a problem,
you know?
right?
Because Phil does that, and then he served mostly to my forehand, you know. So
right.
But he didn't quite get good first serve percentage. Which second serve I really had a chance to at least get it back deep or you know neutralize the point. So that was a big difference, being able to hang in there on his serve. You know.
I thought you right off of the return were able to get back to 50-50.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
well, that was our feeling, is that if he didn't hit a good first serve and get something that he could kind of gain the advantage with right off the bat, that there was really no chance, because it felt like you were in control from the first or second shot of the point, and then you got the backhand working and that big high bouncing forehand, and everyone's just like with Wesley yesterday, just kind of running for their lives out there, just trying to hope to get balls back and play.
And the longer the point went, it favored you. You know, Bryant stepped over and said a few words to us, and he said, you know, as the point got longer, you stayed confident that, oh, it's just one more point. Where a lot of us tend to, as the point gets longer, you tend to rush a little bit and maybe do a little bit too much. But you really just didn't give any free points, and you were really right on your slice, and that ball's tailing away, and it takes its toll on a guy's legs at some point.
Yeah, slice was a little better today.
Yeah, it had a lot more bite. And
I got a pretty good percentage first serves in, so that helped.
You did.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
What do you got coming up?
Atlanta Senior Invitational. You know,
on clay.
So I get back on
your favorite surface.
My favorite surface. Get off this hard stuff.
Yeah, you didn't do well enough here. You got to go play this stuff, surface you like, huh?
Really, it's bad for me.
Yeah, well, the results so far haven't borne that out.
But I tell you, I kind of like this court. This court, just a tinkle slower.
Right.
You know, so it gives me just a little more chance to set up, and that's good.
Well, there's also, you know, there's a little altitude here.
Oh, is that right?
So I'm just wondering if, you know, the combination of the slow court, the altitude, and maybe the heat.
The heat, the ball
helps, you know, especially on that forehand. I think your forehand just jumps.
Good little jump, yeah.
So.
Well, I've been kind of, I mean, that's last couple of years, I've sort of trying to get a little more top on the forehand.
That's jumping.
And I feel like that makes a difference, you know.
Good.
Because I watched the film of me, this was kind of funny, I watched the film of me playing Armstead Neely in the 50s, in the finals, and I was hitting a completely flat forehand with a continental grip.
Okay.
You know, just a bopper, you know. And it wasn't bad, but I mean, I had no top spin at all, and you know, so I think it's helped me.
So you're saying the last few years there's really been a conscious effort to try to kind of roll it
just a little more Eastern and be able to do a little more of this. And I think it, you know, it hasn't, you know, doesn't hurt at all or any of that stuff, and I seem to be able to, you know, then I can drive if I can mix it up, drive it.
It's still going through the court.
Yeah, it's still going through a little bit, and then
but it's kicking up, and a lot of the one-handers, that makes it a little tough.
I really think that the loopers are big, you know, against, because there's so many guys like Wesley or Paul Phil, I mean, you give them a good hard ball,
right,
and they like it.
They can really work with it, right.
The more off-speed stuff you can.
Well, I thought the combination of the slice backhand, which stays low,
yeah,
and then the rolling forehand that gets up, and it looks like most of the time you're kind of working it to the guy's backhand. Maybe it's just because they've been right-handed players, but it's just a nasty combination where I never feel like the guys ever have anything to work with to feel. And it's kind of like what Brian said that you just mentioned, Phil, is that you start getting this little anxiety attack going where, you know, I got to do something out of my comfort zone, don't want to do that. And
well, Phil is probably one of the most dangerous guys in the tournament because he's, you know, that's his.
He's coming in.
I think that's where you can, particularly on hard courts, where you can just, I mean, his volleys are so good, and that's where we've had battles, and he's beaten me a lot, is he just serves them volleys unbelievable, and, you know, hit the ball at his feet, and he, you know, winner drop half volleys and stuff, and you know, then if he's holding his serve all the time, then it puts pressure on me,
right.
You know, so.
What's funny, because I talked to Paul yesterday, I said, "What you playing?" He says, "I probably got to serve him volley."
Yeah.
And I said, well, after I watched Wesley's match, I said, I don't know why you'd stay back. And it was
but
funny.
He didn't really serve him volley.
He didn't. He came up to us at the end there where he finally held it.
At five love, 5-1.
He was down something. He was down love 5.
Yeah.
He finally held, and he'd served volley a couple of times, and he said, well, you know, he didn't. I don't think it was something like, you know, you think it's a little bit too late to start serving and volleying. But
yeah. But although I did hit one really good down the liner at, I think, 30-15.
Yes, you did. Remember that?
And he served volley.
I said he had a great serve, came in and he went,
and that, I say, okay, if I can make a few of those, then I can and that's the deal, is I've got to be able to make a few of those, then I can neutralize the serve and volley guys.
Right.
And,
well, I think some for your viewers, this is the #1 player in the world, and he not only plays great offense, but he also, when he's in trouble, can play great defense.
Right.
And you know, you don't win matches just stand back and bopping winners every time. But he gets the other guy in a position where they're making errors or getting a short ball that he can then attack. And you know, he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's match tough. He's in good shape. And you know,
well, I think that's a good point. Is that a lot of kind of the 4-0 level players don't recognize when is the time to play defense and when's the time to play offense.
Right.
And I think you see a lot of unforced errors when they're just going for too much on a ball that they're not really under pressure to go for an all-out winner. Just roll it back, and we see Larry do that all the time. He gets, especially on that forehand, he gets pulled out wide and just rolls it up high and buys a little time to get back in the court. So
Philly was the guy that I thought he would be in the finals.
Well,
you know, his
after seeing you out there today, I'm glad I wasn't.
But he was the guy I was expecting to be there.
This guy did a good job, didn't he?
Great job, Steve. Careful. You're on camera. Come on in. No. Steve Solomon, the famous tournament director
Who did
Not
a great
the origin of my own home.
You did a great job. We appreciate all you did.
You know, thank you. You know,
Brent, I don't know if you knew this. You know Larry's dad was the Davis Cup coach for the United States back in the 60s with Ralston and Marty Rees. Captain of the team.
Right.
Well, Larry was
I was the water boy.
He was the water boy. But he was hanging out with Stan Smith and Marty Rees and all the guys.
You'd probably pick up quite a bit just hanging out with those guys. So,
okay.
Congratulations again, defending champ.
You know.
We'll get this up on the web, hopefully in the next day or two.
And, Phil, welcome to the broadcasting booth.
Oh, yeah.
Proud of you.